Vulnerability Assessment Presentation by John Cork. Technical Summary of Assignment. To find the two missing servers, I first performed a ping scan using Nmap on the Kali server. With the results of the Nmap ping scan, I ran a secondary Nmap scan to identify the operating systems. I had trouble finding a Windows server in my multiple different types of scans. I came to the conclusion there is no hidden Windows server. Once I verified the operating system of the hidden server as Linux, I proceeded to the Greenbone scan. After the Greenbone scan on the server, I was able to find the security concerns and address them accordingly. Vulnerability Ranking Scale. The Vulnerability Ranking Scale is a standardized framework for measuring information systems' severity of security flaws. It assigns each vulnerability a score between 0 and 10, with higher scores meaning more severe issues. The scale has been grouped into rankings of high, medium, and low. Low is 0 to 3.9, medium is 4 to 6.9, and high is 7 to 10. During the scan of the hidden Linux server, there were 11 high vulnerabilities found. During this report, we will cover the remediation of each of these and the security concerns. Port 8009. Port 8009 is used by the Apache JServe protocol, also known as AJP, for communication between web servers and application servers like Tomcat. The AJP protocol has known security issues. This could allow remote code execution or unauthorized access. To remediate this issue, update Tomcat. Run the following commands: sudo apt upgrade Tomcat 9, and then verify using sudo system control status Tomcat 9. Port 80. TWiki's cross-site scripting and command execution vulnerabilities on port 80 pose serious security concerns. Cross-site scripting vulnerabilities allow attackers to inject malicious JavaScript into web pages. The command execution vulnerability allows attackers to execute arbitrary commands on the server. To fix this, update TWiki and keep TWiki up to date. Download it using wget directly from the terminal. General security concern. The operating system on the remote host has reached the end of life and should not be used anymore. After the end of life, the operating system vendor stops releasing security patches for known vulnerabilities. This leaves the system exposed to exploits and attacks. The best solution is to upgrade to a supported system of the operating system. Run the following commands: sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade, sudo apt dist upgrade. Port 6697. Unreal RCD is prone to authentication spoofing vulnerability on port 6697. The flaw exists due to an error in the mauthenticate function in the module script. Successful exploitation of the vulnerability allows attackers to spoof identity and consequently log in. To fix this, upgrade to Unreal RCD 3.2, 2.7, 10.7, or 4.0.6 or later. Download directly using the terminal with wget. Port 3632. The distcc remote execution vulnerability is a critical security flaw in the distcc service on port 3632. This vulnerability allows attackers to execute arbitrary code remotely on a system running the distcc service. The best solution is to upgrade distcc to a version where the vulnerability is patched. Run the following command: sudo apt upgrade distcc. Port 5432. Port 5432 is the default port used by Postgres SQL. It was possible to log in remotely to Postgres SQL using default credentials. This makes it an easy target for attackers due to the default credentials being publicly known. Avoid using default usernames and passwords and change them to strong, unique credentials. To fix this, you must log into Postgres SQL. Then you must create a new user and make sure that the username and password are changed to something more secure. Port 8787. Port 8787 is commonly associated with distributed Ruby, a Ruby framework for remote method invocation between Ruby program. If DRB is running on port 8787, multiple remote code execution vulnerabilities can arise if it is not properly secured. Ensure that only authorized users can connect to the druby server by implementing strong authentication. The safe variable in Ruby controls the level of security for executing code. Set the safe variable to an appropriate level of 2 or 3. Port 6200. The very secure FTP daemon compromised source packages backdoor vulnerability on port 6200. This allows attackers to gain unauthorized access due to a backdoor introduced in certain versions of very secure FTP daemon. This exposes the port to serious security risks, such as unauthorized access, remote code execution, and potential system compromise. The best solution is to upgrade very secure FTP daemon to the latest stable version. Run the following commands: sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade vsf tpd. Port 1524. Ingreslock is a backdoor installed in the Ingress database. This listens on port 1524, which is the default for Ingress database. This can allow unauthorized remote access to the database, bypassing normal authentication mechanisms. The backdoor can give attackers full access over the database system, allowing them to execute arbitrary commands, steal sensitive data, or escalate privileges. The best way to fix this is to upgrade Ingress to the latest version that addresses the Ingreslock vulnerability. Run the following commands: sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade Ingress. Port 21. The VSFTP, also known as Very Secure FTP Daemon, compromised source packages backdoor vulnerability on port 21, the default FTP port. The backdoor was introduced into Very Secure FTP Daemon, and this allows attackers to gain unauthorized access to affected systems. The most important step in addressing this backdoor vulnerability is to update very secure FTP daemon to a patched version. The affected version is primarily 2.3.4, so upgrading to a version later than this will resolve the issue. Run the following commands: sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade vsf tpd. Port 1099. The Java RMI server insecure default configuration vulnerability on port 1099 refers to a security issue in Java remote method invocation servers. RMI is used to enable remote communication between Java applications, but insecure configurations of RMI can allow attackers to exploit the service, potentially resulting in remote code execution. On most Java applications, the RMI registry runs on port 1099. You can block or disable this port entirely at the network level. To fix, run the following command: